WeatherScope.
Get ready. A rainy and windy weekend for parts of the Mid-Atlantic and New England. Hello, welcome to WeatherScope. I'm Paul Emick.
And I'm Warren Madden. We'll also examine the seasonably warm temperatures in the southwest and check your weekend forecast as well. But we start with the rain in Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. It was a raw, rainy day in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Steady light rain falling since last night. So much for lunch in the park or an outdoor cafe today, unless you like getting wet. You can expect an occasional light rain shower to be passing through the area tonight. Area breezy as well. Along the Massachusetts coast this morning, not far from where I grew up, the waves already had begun to kick up because of gusty winds caused by the storm system. These pictures from Scituate on the South Shore, south of Boston. Winds gusting above 40 miles an hour are expected in the area, and waves could be crashing as high as 15 feet. Gale warnings up along the Massachusetts coast. We'll take a look at those in just a minute, but let's look at where the storm that's causing all the problems is right now. That's it right here. It's pretty much camped out over the Delmarva Peninsula right now. Very slow-moving system, and the reason why it is slow-moving is not what's happening at the surface, but what's happening a couple of miles up in the atmosphere, the jet stream. We have an upper-level low-pressure system that is just nailed into position here across central North Carolina. Look at this big spin right here. It's like a whirlpool, and it's not going anywhere. One of the results of this is that we're seeing a plume of moisture being drawn in off the Gulf Stream, turning to the left here across the mouth of the Delaware River, and then pulling in almost directly west to east across the state of Pennsylvania. Boy, do we see the rain here. Look at this, the darker green showing the heavier rain from north of Baltimore, between Baltimore and Philadelphia, and then coming up through the Gettysburg and York areas, heading in toward Johnstown and Altoona, and over toward Pittsburgh. Looks like some heavier rain now coming down in the West Virginia Panhandle. And when I say lots of rain, I do mean lots of rain. Take a look at some of these totals. Altoona, over 5 inches of rain from this storm. Baltimore, Washington International picking up 2 1/4 inches. Washington, D.C. almost as much. In York, 1 6/10 of an inch of rain. And as we come back to the map, I want to point out something. You can see lots of rain here in west central Pennsylvania. Flood warnings in effect anywhere here from east of Pittsburgh all the way down to southwest of Harrisburg. But I want you to notice where it's not raining. New York City, by and large, dry, although we are seeing a bit of drizzle at LaGuardia right now, but some very strong winds. Winds gusting at LaGuardia up close to 40 miles an hour. Heading farther to the northeast, we do have some rain going on here on the South Shore. Cape dry right now. Jim Cantore was reporting to us just a little while ago, but those gale warnings up from Eastport, Maine, all the way down to Fenwick Island, Delaware, winds gusting in some cases up over 40 miles an hour. Temperatures right now 47 in Boston, 51 in New York City. Elkins, West Virginia, right here, 32 degrees and snowing right now. No snow in the southeast, though. Fairly quiet, though a few showers in South Carolina and coastal North Carolina, looking at 45 in Atlanta right now. Also in Houston, and New Orleans checking in with 53 degrees. Let's check out the western United States now with my good friend, Paul Emick.
All right, let's do some checking. We're talking about high pressure, giving you a great day across the southwest, lots of sunshine, and what I call some warm temps. The Pacific Northwest saw a bit of rain kind of off and on. Let's check the current conditions, see what's happening, where, when, why, and how. A lot of things to talk about. It's a big promise. We'll deliver. See the front hanging out there? That's the how the cold air is getting down. It's hiding behind it. Cold fronts are the leading edge of colder air, and we're going to bring in a pack and a potent punch batch of cold air on loan from our good neighbors to the north in Canada. Going to bring some cold stuff down. You do see a little bit in the way of precipitation. It's been wet off and on around Seattle and Portland, but a little bit drier now for Seattle Metro. A few sprinkles at times. Portland, Troutdale, Hillsborough, Tillamook. No problems now. A lot of this falling in the form of rain into western parts of Washington, even parts of Oregon are seeing an occasional flake or two. Not too far from Burns. An occasional flake is still flying. A lot of this in the form of snow, again, an occasional sprinkle of rain, but into parts of Montana, Great Falls, and a number of spots, including Hopper, they're reporting a little bit of light snow at the present time. Very light snow, but still it's coming down. Into parts of Nevada, bit of light rain coming down to just most of the east of Elko, but kind of a rain event scattered around. It is rain, it is wet, it is snowy, and it's also windy in so many parts of the west, including on the lee side of the mountains here. You see there's the mountain ranges there. On the lee side, it's called. That's the opposite of the windward side. Big time wind, including Denver Metro, Littleton, Aurora. Could be Seeing a little wind, not extreme, but if you're driving the high-profile vehicle, bear in mind it could be a little extra windy. Medford, 49 degrees right now in the Bay. Beautiful city. Cool night around the Golden Gate Rec area. 57 degrees after a high of 64 today. High only 73 for L.A. Phoenix, 83. Good one on the way. Let's look at temperatures across the country, including 48 to St. Louis for today. Windy City, 47. Enjoy it. Much colder air on the way. 56 and wet around New York City. Let's talk a little bit. We'll shift focus here before we get to our forecast and talk about El Nino. With that, here's Warren.
Thanks much, Paul. Some experts say that this year's El Nino is responsible for stronger eastern Pacific hurricane activity. Others, though, have a different view. Janetta Jones takes a look at the two sides of the coin in tonight's El Nino Focus.
Hurricane Pauline hit the Mexican coastline near Acapulco on October 8th. Did this year's strong El Nino contribute to the hurricane's strength? There are opposing views.
With the unusually warm waters off the coast of Mexico this season, kind of an offshoot of El Nino, we believe that this probably intensified Pauline.
But the question has to do is, did the El Nino cause these water temperatures to be higher than they ordinarily would be at the latitude where Pauline formed? We know the El Nino causes above normal water temperatures at the equator and maybe 5 to 10 degrees above the equator.
Another mark of a very intense storm would be the increased precipitation or rainfall around the storm itself.
Anytime you get a lifting mechanism from the mountains, you'll get more rainfall. So again, that's not caused by water temperatures, it's caused by the lifting of the air by the higher elevation, the mountains in this case.
Scientists will study this year's El Nino to see what part, if any, it played in the 1997 hurricane season. The bottom line, any hurricane is dangerous, and safety precautions should be followed if one affects your region. I'm Janetta Jones, the Weather Channel.
Tune in tomorrow night when we'll look at how El Nino affects weather in other countries. That's tomorrow on El Nino Focus. Now let's check that forecast for your Saturday. College football games galore. Here's Paul Emick.
That's right. You know, you mentioned a minute ago when you grew up on the south shore of Boston, around the Atlantic. It's kind of neat because I grew up on the south shore of the Ohio River. So it's kind of the same thing. Almost. Not exactly. It's time for the good evening forecast now. We'll talk about the wet weather on the shore, including the south shore of Boston. More wet weather, area of low pressure. Think of it as like a moisture magnet. Winds blow from high to low. Low pressure pulls it in and swings it around. We're talking about a counterclockwise wind flow. That's the way it works. Because of that, the water deposit here could be fairly heavy, still in parts of central PA, even Pittsburgh, with some additional wet weather. Philadelphia, same deal. Cleveland, even close to Sandusky, we're talking about a wet day. Columbus, Cincinnati, even a little bit of eastern Kentucky at times. West Virginia staying wet. D.C., maybe an occasional little bit of more.